Oh, Cleveland. What's up, guys? Welcome back to King Crockett Sports. Mike here. Today, we are talking about the Browns. It's a draft channel. We talk about the Browns every year, but never for the right reasons. As you may have heard earlier this week, or late last week, I guess, Coleman, the former first-round pick wide receiver out of Baylor, was traded from the Browns to the Bills for a conditional seventh-round pick in 2020. The Browns, yet again, admitting defeat. Where did everything go wrong with Coleman? Where did everything go wrong with the Browns as of late? I mean, they're a mess, guys. Then they've been a mess for a number of years, but they've especially been a mess the last two. We're talking about a team that's gone 1-31 in the past two seasons. A team where after a 1-15 season, everyone thought maybe 4, maybe 5, possibly 6 wins. You know, seemed about right. There's a really talented... Nope. Instead, they somehow managed to find a way to regress from 1-15 to go 0-16, being only the second team ever to do so. What the fuck? A lot of the onus falls on former executive Sashi Brown. And that's what today's video is on. The good old years of Sashi Brown. Brown was hired before the 2016 draft. He was hired in January, replacing... I am going to be totally honest. I can't remember who their old general manager was. It's the Browns. They go through head coaches and general managers about every 2 years, so it's hard to keep track of them. And he was so arrogant because he was coming from a different perspective. He wasn't one of these guys that was brought up and nurtured in a football environment like an Elliott Wolf. Or really anyone that's still, like a Rick Smith, for example, an Elliott Wolf, a Chris Ballard. He wasn't one of those guys. No. He was something better. He was a lawyer, which obviously means that he knows what the fuck he's doing putting together a football team. I mean, there's a reason Sashi Brown was so bad, and this is for selfish reasons. I couldn't be bothered to go upstairs to go get my Jim Brown jersey to do this video. Because Sashi Brown is not worthy of... Sashi Brown made that jersey just so ugly for me. I'm not a Browns fan by any chance, but when the Browns are that pitiful, you don't want to be caught in public wearing a Cleveland Browns jersey. Anyways, back on topic. He was so arrogant because he was going to bring Moneyball to football. Moneyball, the thing that helped the Oakland A's get McGuire and all of that. I'm not a very big baseball fan, but I know that was kind of his thing. So it was all about acquiring more picks. Well, when you're the Cleveland Browns, and since you entered the league again in 1999, you haven't had a quarterback, sometimes you got to shit or get off the pot, and you actually have to take a quarterback. And Sashi Brown and the Cleveland Browns organization just seems so gun-shy to do so. Case in point, his first draft was the 2016 draft class. Okay. So there's Jared Goff and there's Carson Wentz. Not really can't miss prospects, but easily the best two quarterbacks in that class. You're at the number 2 pick. And you trade back. Like, what are you doing? You could have easily taken Carson Wentz. Look at what Carson Wentz did for my Eagles last year. Okay? He helped them get to the playoffs, helped them be easily one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the league going into the playoffs, and set that team up in a way that Nick Foles couldn't really fuck it up. And they ended up winning a Super Bowl. Now he's back. Okay? And it's not so much getting him ready for the regular season, it's making sure he stays healthy for the playoffs so that the Eagles have a chance at repeating. This is a guy in 2 years who turned around a franchise. From guys like Sam Bradford and Chase Daniel being the quarterback to winning a fucking Super Bowl in his second year. But you traded back because you wanted to get more picks. And what did you get from that? Well, you traded back and you got Corey Coleman at 15, who Matt Miller said earlier this week, not one team had Corey Coleman as a round 1 wide receiver. All right? I was high on Corey Coleman that year. I had him as like a late first, early second round pick. But that was it. Like, it seemed like it was just me. You could have fucking taken Wentz at 2, and in round 2, Michael Thomas, who's now a Pro Bowl wide receiver, was right there, and he was in your backyard because he goes to fucking Ohio State. And you pass that up to instead, at 15, go Corey Coleman. You didn't fuck up in the second round. You at least got Emmanuel Ogbah, who's one of the most underrated players in the in the NFL right now. And then what was one of the other picks they got from that? Ooh, how about Sean Coleman, the offensive tackle from Auburn? Yeah, he hasn't started a game for you, and you got him in round 3. But the quarterback you did take, oh, this is my favorite. You got Cody Kessler. Like, no one had a draftable grade on Cody Kessler, and you got him in round 3, and then you forced him to start. What are you doing? Who looked at Cody Kessler's college tape and said, yep, that's our guy? Except they didn't, because they traded him after a year. I mean, Ricardo Lewis, he's not on the team anymore. Jordan Payton, he's not on the team. Seth DeValve, I don't know who that is. Derek Kindred was a good player from that draft. Spencer Drango's not on the team. Rashard Higgins is a nothing player. Trey Caldwell, Scooby Wright. None of these guys have done anything for you from Sashi Brown's first groundbreaking Moneyball draft. None of these guys did anything. Then you come back in year 2 of Sashi Brown for the draft, and here's the one that's made me laugh, is that Sashi Brown defenders have talked about how, well, they got Myles Garrett, in 2017. He had the number 1 pick. It's not like you could have really fucked it up. It's not like you could have, you really lucked out by getting Myles Garrett to fall to him at the number 1 pick. Stop it. Myles Garrett was miles ahead. No pun intended. Myles Garrett was miles better than everyone else in that draft class. Don't make excuses for Sashi Brown by saying, well, he really lucked out. He did a great job because he was able to get Myles Garrett with the number 1 pick. Well, he didn't really have much competition. Although it came out like a couple of days before the draft, he was thinking of drafting fucking Mitch Trubisky. Now, I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky wasn't deserving the number 1 pick. He wasn't. And he was, at the time, considered the best quarterback in that class. Deshaun Watson had a very good season last year. Pat Mahomes is expected to have a pretty good season this year. My point being, again, quarterback, right there. I'm not saying they shouldn't have gotten Myles Garrett, but, you did have another pick later in that round, and you traded back. And the pick that you they traded exactly out of the spot that was Carson Wentz and exactly out of the spot that was Deshaun Watson. So that's now 2 franchise quarterbacks they've traded out of. The exact pick. It's not like they're trading out thinking that this team's coming up to get a wide receiver and that's what happens and then the next pick is a quarterback. No. They are trading out of the spot where a quarterback is being taken. They are allowing other teams to get their franchise quarterback while they sit back and in round 2 get Deshaun Kaiser, who last year showed he belongs nowhere near the starting lineup of an NFL roster. He was benched periodically by Hugh Jackson, who somehow got a 3rd year after going 1-31. 1-31. Are you kidding me? To put this in perspective, John Fox, in 3 years in Chicago, won 16 games. And that is pretty bad. The Browns would have to go 15-1 to hit that this year for Hugh Jackson's tenure there. What the hell? Look at the rest of Larry Ogunjobi was a good player from UNC Charlotte, and I'm not going to shit on that pick because it was a really good pick. But people who can look at 2 drafts from him and go, well, Derek Kindred was a good player. Okay. David Njoku was a good player. Okay. I mean, that's kind of debatable. David Njoku's green as turtle shit when it comes to actually really knowing what he's doing on a football field. He's that raw of a player. He really is that green. And that all comes down to coaching. Larry Ogunjobi, good pick. Literally nothing else in this matters whatsoever. Jabril Peppers, I mean, you traded out of Deshaun Watson to get a 3rd round safety in round 1. Bravo. Bravo, Sashi. And the reason I'm making this video now, I've had a couple of days to now digest all of the shit after the Corey Coleman trade. And let's be honest, his career's probably done. Because, I mean, even in that Buffalo offense, I mean, he's a nothing player. He's a nothing player. Sashi Brown couldn't evaluate talent worth a fuck. I mean, Jabril Peppers was, again, a nothing player in college. He was like a third-round pick. But, you know, when you take a third-round value, when you get the chance to take a third-round value in round one, you got to do it, apparently. But, like, come on. Myles Garrett, they had the number one pick. You can't credit them for taking Myles Garrett when he had the number one pick. It's not like he did anything special to acquire the number one pick. No, they sucked so bad that they got the number one pick. You know, in Njoku, okay, that was admittedly a pretty decent pick if he pans out. Larry Ogunjobi was a good pick. Literally nothing else from that draft is of any substance and doesn't fucking matter. The reason I'm making this video now is because yesterday I saw the dumbest take I've ever heard, seen, witnessed, whatever you want to call it, the dumbest thing ever. And the comment was that with Corey Coleman being traded, it feels like, I can't believe I'm about to utter these words. It feels like Sashi Brown is Obama. I cannot believe I'm about to say this. It feels like Sashi Brown is Obama and John Dorsey is Donald Trump because John Dorsey is undoing all of the great things that Sashi Brown did for the organization. Great things like keeping Hugh Jackson employed for 2 years, which admittedly John Dorsey has now done for an extra year as well. Great things like being just a true god-awful talent evaluator. Great things like setting your team up for a span unlike anything the NFL has ever seen before by winning 1 game in 2 years. Great things like trading out of 2 franchise quarterbacks, one of which that has already won a Super Bowl so that you could play Cody Kessler and fucking Deshaun Kaiser. I'm usually not one to pile on, to absolutely bury someone, if you will. But Sashi Brown fucking deserves every bit of criticism he gets. And those people that think that by acquiring all of these extra draft, picks, and, for trading out of these spots and getting, let's say, 3 or 4 picks per from each of these trades, that by doing that, for each of those trades, if one of those players pans out, then it's worth it. No, because again, you're the Cleveland Browns. You've been back in the league since 1999. You've gone through about 38 different quarterbacks. Eventually, shit or get off the fucking pot. I don't understand how this is a complicated issue. I don't seem to think how anyone can come to Sashi Brown's defense for this, because what he did was inexcusable. He put fucking jabronis out on the field, and they got their asses handed to them on a game-in, game-out basis. Now, yes, we hope this year that under John Dorsey, Baker Mayfield is the guy that finally ends that big-ass jersey with all the quarterbacks' names on it, and it stops with Baker Mayfield. We hope that Denzel Ward is actually a capable corner. And that's the thing. Not even those guys that I'm talking, not even just the quarterback failures. Why don't we talk about the fact that they drafted Cameron Irving in round 1. Oh, God, about 4 or 5 rounds too early. Then traded him for nothing. They drafted Justin Gilbert, the corner. And then very, very swiftly traded him for absolutely nothing. They draft Danny Shelton in round 1, then trade him to the Patriots before this past season with a 5th round pick. Sorry, it was either with a 5th round pick to get a 3rd or with a 3rd to get a 5th. He knew nothing of player value whatsoever. which is just maddening. And it failed miserably, and this Moneyball approach absolutely bombed, and he found himself out of a job, and maybe now with the right mind in, in the front office with John Dorsey, who, kind of built the Chiefs into what they are now, maybe, just maybe, there's some light at the end of the tunnel for Browns fans. But seriously, if you're one of these people that defends Sashi Brown for what he did to that organization, you need to give your head a check. That's going to do it for today, guys. As always, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell another friend, and I'll see you tomorrow.